Another thing that I'd like to mention is that the dynamic in this boom that drives it is different, significantly different from the one in the 70s. In the 70s, we had a political thing going with an oil embargo, and that was pretty much artificially generated. Now we have local demand driving a shortage of crude oil worldwide. And especially here where we've been pretty lax and allowed our production of our own crude oil to slip from 40% down to 30%, maybe even a little less, especially with the lack of drilling going on in the Gulf right now. The formations that we're drilling here, the Three Forks and the Bakken, were produced a little bit, but were a relatively minor fraction of the state's production until hydrofracking and horizontal drilling came along. The thing to watch for on the horizon, and right now what drives it, is a 90+% success rate. The Niobrara play coming up in eastern Colorado, Wyoming, and Nebraska promises to be something of a similar nature. So you could see rigs shift south and go for that play because of a little better weather, hate to say it, and lower taxes. So at some point we're going to have to rein in our own state budget, keep track of what it takes to maintain the infrastructure that we're tearing up. Doing production is just the cost of doing business, really, and go from there.
Thank you. It's a good observation.
I think that's exactly what you've been talking about, isn't it? I mean, again, I keep saying, you know, again, I'm down in the east here, but I'm thinking, here's a game-changing technology, fracking, that's opened up this whole play. It's boom as a result of science, basically. And so now we're talking as much as 24 billion barrels of oil in the Bakken at a 5% extraction rate. All right. Well, this technology works just as well in Texas, and you know, in Wyoming, and these other places. Right?
One of the things I'm worried about in this case is you're talking about hydraulic fracturing and the issues. If you look at the boom and bust cycles in North Dakota, the 50s boom and bust cycle was really technology. It was just getting that oil that was deep and had high lifting costs and wasn't competitive. In the late 70s, early 80s, when we had the boom and bust cycle, it was global prices that made it go up and down. Right now, if we look into the future, global economists are saying, gas or oil is going to average over the next, as far as we can see, high 70s, low 80s in the price per barrel of oil. And so we're not so much worried about the price crash. But think about if the Federal Environmental Protection Agency was banned fracking. What would that do to North Dakota?